finding purpose, passion, and peace in Bali. I just love this quote by Martin Luther King. He says, faith is taking that first step, even if you can't see the whole staircase. And so many of you started boot camp on that first day and you really didn't know what it was going to be like, but you thought you'd give it a go. And quite a lot of you got through the whole week and you're beginning to feel this strange emotion called hope. You're beginning to realize that, yes, you can get out of this thing. You had faith to take that first step. We've got people watching this who are already several months sober, so they know that sobriety is just the first step. There's another quote about sobriety that I liked. Sobriety is just the ticket to the show. You haven't even seen the band play yet. Getting sober is a beginning. It's not an end to itself. It's just a beginning. And now it's all about discovering who you are and what brings you joy. Because we lose ourselves when we drink too much. We don't know who we are and what we like doing. The number of people that I've coached, when I've asked them what they like, what hobbies can we get going, they say, I don't remember actually. I just used to enjoy drinking with my friends or even more drinking alone. We really lose touch with what we love to do. So now is the exciting bit when we rediscover who we are and what we want to do. We're going to help you find your passion and purpose. Because the early sobriety stage is ending, the next thing that we need once we've used our sobriety toolkit and got sober is we need a personal development practice. And we need that for the rest of our lives because it's forever work. It's like physical exercise. Just as we have to keep moving our bodies, we have to keep working on our minds. And Bali can give you some ideas to do that because the magic of it is you're going to be there with 15 participants and then you've got 3 coaches, myself, 𝐬𝐿𝐴𝐻 and 𝐵𝐿𝐴𝐻. There's so much you could learn from us and of course other people there. We can help you to kickstart and plan your practice. What kind of routines do you need to get into to enrich your life now that you've done this really hard thing? Are you sitting on the fence? We've got a lot of fence sitters, even in our little Bali WhatsApp group. We've got a WhatsApp group, and on there we've got the 7 people that have booked and paid their deposit. And then quite a few people that are really interested, but they haven't committed yet. So we call them our fence sitters. And I know that there are a lot of people that feel that way because it is quite a big commitment to make so far in advance as well. We want you to make that commitment because once you've paid your deposit, which is only a third of the whole cost, it's not a huge deposit, you'll then really start looking forward to it. We're already talking on WhatsApp. We're going to be having Zoom meetings because we don't want you to feel anxious and apprehensive before you get there. It is quite a big step to book a holiday on your own and meet a bunch of strangers. So we're going to be getting to know each other before we go. And that will take a lot of the fear away, I think, because we'll talk on WhatsApp and we'll have meetings on Zoom. And we particularly will be interested in what stage people are at their sobriety. We are asking people to be at least a month sober. We're not running a rehab here. We don't want people that have just stopped drinking on the plane. So they need to be detoxed at least a month sober. And then after that, it's suitable for any stage of sobriety. It's even suitable for people that don't have an alcohol issue, but just want to refresh and recharge, as long as they're absolutely clear that there is no alcohol in this resort. So let's go through my 7 reasons, shall we? Reason number 1, maybe you're still relying on willpower. A lady that did Breaking Free 4, she published the article and she sent it to me this morning. And it was a great article and she regurgitated, if that's the right word, all the info that she got from us on the Breaking Free program, and it was brilliant. And she'd taken so much on board, but she was still in her moderation game. And she knew that the moderation wasn't working. She even sent me a chart listing all her units and how over the last 6 months of 2024, they went up and they went up and they went up. And now she's back to dry January. So she's in that awful place where you're just doing the hardest bit over and over again. My theory about her is that she's still relying on willpower. She still sees alcohol as something desirable. And I'm very against willpower, as you've probably gathered, because after my experience with AA, I would find people that felt like they had to go to meetings for years and years because they had to keep strong. And to my mind, they were in a place of deprivation, because they were still gritting their teeth and white knuckling it. And I really don't believe that is the way to go. I think that we have to create a mind shift so that we no longer see alcohol as something desirable. And if you're hanging out with other ladies that have been sober for quite a while and they're absolutely thriving in their alcohol-free lives, you're going to look at those women and you're going to say, wow, look at her. She's confident. She's happy. She obviously has a beautiful life and she doesn't drink. And you will be so inspired. You'll be inspired to embrace and relax into your alcohol-free lifestyle. Because what's the point of being sober if you're miserable? It's absolutely pointless. If you come with us, you'll learn how to build an alcohol-free life that you love, because that's what we've done, most of us. And perhaps you want to move from survival to joy. We've done sobriety, haven't we? We're sober. But now we have to learn how to do life. How do we do life without the escape hatch? Because we're all pretty good at chugging along in early sobriety. We've got our toolkit. We know what to do. We've got our community. But then, bam, very often a curveball will come out of left field and we'll be completely thrown. Some of us, we will go to our usual coping mechanism, which is just to drink, because we need to escape. And we haven't got any other coping mechanisms yet. So we have to learn. We have to learn how to do life without the escape hatch. And you will learn from other women in your sharing circle. We'll be having quite deep, vulnerable conversations every single day. You'll be able to take time and space for yourself to reconnect with who you are and what you want out of life. If you're a bit of an introvert like me, you might enjoy going for long walks on the beach. You might like just sitting there quietly with your journal and reflecting what you've learned from people, what you've got out of the day. But we will move you from survival to joy. And perhaps you need more time to do the work. Perhaps you've been so busy, so many working moms especially. I know a few and they never stop and there's always something to do and they've got to please the boss at work and they've got to look after the kids and they never have a moment. We've got plenty of moms in Tribe Sober. Even if they've managed to get sober, they might not have had time to do the work. The work in sobriety is to develop new coping mechanisms, to rebuild your self-esteem, to rediscover your passions and learn to love yourself again. Because I think when we drink too much, we're on a path to self-destruction. So we need to reverse that now. Being with like-minded women who are on this same journey will inspire you to really get stuck in and you'll learn what their coping mechanisms are. So much we can learn from each other. You've probably gathered by now that I love quotes. This is one of my favorites by the amazing Viktor Frankl. He said, life is not primarily a quest for pleasure or a quest for power, but it's a quest for meaning. And perhaps you want to find more meaning in your life. Now that you're sober, you've got this blank canvas ahead of you, you want to find more meaning. So you'll be able to take some time to reflect alone to be with others and to be with your coach. Elaine, myself, and Zinette, we're all qualified coaches. So we'll be giving a one-to-one session to every person there. You'll get to know your coach quite well, and she'll get to know your issues. And she'll be able to help you really progress to a different place. And then maybe you might want to continue to work with that coach afterwards. Or you can even have a session before we go with whoever your coach is going to be. You'll be able to understand how others make sense of this crazy world we live in and how do they find meaning. It'll be so interesting just to share. One day our discussion can be around what gives you meaning and purpose. For some people, it's their families, and for some people, it's their job. And for me, it's helping people to ditch the booze. We've all got different passions. All we ask is that you come along and with curiosity and you open to ideas and learning. And maybe you want to find a project. Projects are so important in this journey. We made this little graphic actually for our French retreats. I think we ended up with little tote bags with this on. When I was getting sober, I didn't have a community. I went to AA, didn't like it, didn't know where to go. So I did a lot of it on my own until I found something in London that helped me. But I was fine and I did well till about 3 months, and then I just plummeted and I felt totally depressed. And I thought, why am I doing this thing? I'm so miserable and I miss my drinking buddies and I miss the parties and I'm so bored and I've got so much time on my hands. But I couldn't really quit because my husband and my son kept telling me how proud they were of me. So I thought, I'll just sit here and see what happens. So I did. And gradually over the next few weeks, I felt like my brain was coming back to life. I felt really creative. And I kept writing little things down in my notebook thinking, oh, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do that. One day I got the idea to start Tribe Sober. We say to people, NQTD, never question the decision. You quit drinking, don't question it. Now you need to carry on and discover, and you need to embrace the void. So if you feel that life is empty and you've got nothing to do and too much on your hands, just sit with it. As Lynette says, we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the key to all of this. And then the magic will happen. You'll start to get ideas. If we can have the courage just to sit quietly, we'll gradually get more creative. It takes courage though, because we're all such busy bees and we all love rushing around. And if we're not rushing around, we're on TikTok. So sometimes we just have to be still. And this retreat is going to be amazing for that. We're going to be in this beautiful place and we will be so calm and serene and we'll be connecting with each other. We'll get to know each other. We'll probably make lifelong friends and we'll be vulnerable with each other. And it's going to be amazing. So back to project, why you need a project, because getting sober was a project. I don't know about you, but certainly my first few months of sobriety, I was on a bit of a high because I thought, oh, I'm finally doing this thing and it's not so hard. And why did I mess around for all those years? Why didn't I do this sooner? My brain had a project, so it was happy. But then when I plummeted into this depression, it was because my brain had thought, oh, she's sober now. So what are we doing now? You have to give your brain stuff to do or it gets miserable. You can be hit by a low mood and you just simply need a new project. Because I found that as soon as I decided to set up Tribe Sober, there was so much to do. I had to build a website. I had to learn about marketing. I had to design a workshop. I had to qualify as a coach. There was just loads to do and I loved it. I had this big purpose to help people do what I'd done and lots of little steps to get me to that purpose. So it was an ideal project. So we're saying to you, just let the beauty of Bali, the company of other women, and the time with your coach spark your creativity. And this is why they matter so much, because our brains are wired for survival. Our brains are just the same as our ancestors' brains in the caves all those thousands of years ago. Our brains are evolved to reward steps towards meeting needs. And of course, those needs when we were in our caves were to eat and to get fire and to survive. But now most of us can just go to the fridge if we want some food. So we have to create projects, other things to achieve. We need a sense of achievement. So we need to understand our brains and work with them so that we take steps towards our goals. And then our happy brain chemicals, i.e. dopamine receptors, etc., they will be triggered and they will be happy. So it's just about understanding our brain and working with it rather than against it. Here's reason number 6. You might need to develop your emotional sobriety. Because for many of us, just learning to be present is quite a challenge. And learning to be present regardless of what happens. If something goes terribly wrong, just sitting with it, being uncomfortable and thinking, how am I going to sort this out? And if you're prepared to be vulnerable in this safe space with other women, that is really going to develop your emotional sobriety. Because you need a non-judgmental space to share your past experiences and your dreams for the future. And that's what we are providing for you. Reason number 7, maybe it's time to step into your power. In the olden days, they would talk about the stages of womanhood like this. You'd be a maiden when you were a young girl, then you'd be a mother, have all of those children, and then you'd be pretty redundant after you'd had the children. Then you were just a crone. So that's really pretty horrible. Here's the maiden and the mother. Look at this, a poor old crone. Here's me with an owl on my head. It is time to obviously throw that antiquated nonsense into the bin and reframe it. Okay, we can be a maiden and a mother, but then let's be a queen. The queen stage is from 40 to 80, and many women step into their power in later life. I'm sure you know some and you've seen them in the media. Here's Jamie Lee, who has been sober for years. She's a sober advocate. And yeah, be open to new friendships with other sober queens because we're all going to inspire each other. We're going to move you through the stages of sobriety. This is a typical journey that a Tribe Sober member goes on. They join us feeling a bit rough. They're in survival mode, like that poor old cockerel you just saw. And then already after a month, they're feeling clear-headed. And yes, so someone like that could definitely come on our retreat. She would get a lot out of it. And then she keeps going, and 6 months, that is when that low mood can hit. So someone like that would benefit so much. We say it's going to be about 2 years really until you're flourishing. But there's also a rule of thumb that I mentioned on the boot camp, didn't I? That for every year that you drank, you need to allocate a month of sobriety. So there's a lot of stages. And please don't think that you're going to feel detoxing for all those years. Not at all. That stage will probably be over in 3 months. But the benefits are going to keep coming in and keep coming in for years. And if you mix with other people in an environment like we're offering, you will absolutely thrive. We've proved, haven't we, that we can do hard things because we quit drinking. And the good news is if you do hard things, your brain gets wired to do hard things. And there's a definite feeling, isn't there, of confidence when you get sober. You think, wow. And we say on our website, actually, that sobriety is a superpower. Because there's this feeling, isn't there? I can do that. I can do anything. So bring it on. And we've all done such a hard thing by ditching the booze. And we are wired. Our brain has now been rewired because alcohol rewires our brain. And when we get sober, it heals. So we're wired to do another hard thing, whatever hard thing they throw at us. We're learning to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And discomfort is the currency of growth. So, yes, we know for some of you it'll be a push to do this, but just push yourself out of the comfort zone. We need to evolve, don't we? We need to develop as people. And in order to do that, we have to take a risk. So, even if it feels scary, and it probably will, that kind of apprehension, it's just our brain again, isn't it? Trying to keep us safe. Our brain just wants us to do the same old every day. Go to work, look after the family, watch the TV, drink your wine, go to bed. Our brain would be very happy with that. But you need to stretch yourself. You need to take risks and go on adventures, and your life is going to change big time in such a beautiful and exciting way. It's time to get untamed. We were chatting about this on our Bali WhatsApp group. I think it was Cara who's read the book, and we've decided we're going to be cheetahs in Bali. I found a picture which was a coalition of cheetahs. Did you know that was the collective noun for cheetahs? That's something that I learned today. So think of yourself as a cheetah. Come to Bali, reconnect with who you are, who you really want to be. It's time to stop the people pleasing. I had a lady write to me and she said, "Oh, I'd love to come on your Bali thing, but my husband wouldn't like it. She works hard all the time. She has a job. She looks after the kids. She looks after the husband." I said, make a case for taking 7 days off your people pleasing life, because you need a bit of time on your own, time to recharge. It's like that thing about the oxygen mask, isn't it? On a plane, you should put it on you before you take care of the children. And that's what I said to her. And I'm trying to work with her to work out how to do this difficult conversation. Because if you've always done exactly what your family expect of you, then yes, it's going to be a bit shocked, but they'll get over it. They'll adapt. They love you. They'll think you've gone a bit bonkers, but they probably think that anyway because you've stopped drinking. So why not go for it? You've got to learn to put yourself first. Women are very bad at this. So please use Bali as a project. Just stretch yourself. Stop the people pleasing, convince whoever you need to convince. We've got 10 months, haven't we? You've got time to get that support structure set up you need. Time to find someone to look after the dog. I know what it's like with dogs. I had to cancel a trip because I couldn't find my favorite hotel for my dog. So I know it gets hectic, but now I make sure that I've booked her in. I think I've already booked her in for Bali. So just get organized, because once we're organized, we can achieve anything. I just love this. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? We've only got one life. We're not here on a rehearsal, are we? So let's do something crazy now and again. Let's do something a bit wild. Let's step out of the comfort zone, get out of Groundhog Day, and go on an adventure together. Now for the boring bits. Ellen did a fabulous job yesterday talking about the admin, because of course she's been to Bali on a sober retreat and she knows exactly what's what. So what we're going to do for you is we're going to prepare checklists. So I'm going to do an admin checklist for you. I'm going to do a packing checklist for you. I want to make everything as easy as possible, and so that you don't get on the plane worrying that you've forgotten a vital bit of paper or your phone charger. We're going to get so organized. And I've already circulated to those of you that are coming this fabulous wellness guide, Bali wellness guide. This lady, 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐞𝐭, she lived there for 5 years running yoga retreats, actually. She knows the island back to front, and she is South African, but she's a great traveler and she knows exactly what we need, where. And I think it's about 90 pages and it's packed with absolutely beautiful pictures. So if you would like a copy of that, just contact me, Janet@𝐼𝐸𝐵.com, and I'll send it to you. And just looking at those pictures alone will probably inspire you to book. Oh, flights, yes. I just looked at 3 destinations, 3 departure places, because I was running out of time when I put this together. This are just examples, obviously. I did look at approximately the right date. Us in South Africa have got it relatively easy because the journey, 15 hours to get there, 14 hours to get back. Just one stopover in Singapore, and the price isn't too bad at all. If you're in London or the UK, from London, it's going to be a little bit longer than for us in South Africa, but not too long. And the price is a little bit more expensive. But you guys in the US, I only looked at New York, but it is going to be quite a long trek. So I'm sure you've looked at this, those of you coming from America, and you've probably already got organized. I'm sure most of you have done long haul before, but it's a matter of getting organized, isn't it? I used to see flights as an opportunity to get completely smashed, and I'd be back and forth to the UK, and I would be staggering off that plane, and I'd feel terrible probably for at least a day afterwards. But now I get on the plane and I know what movies I'm going to watch, and I've probably got my Kindle with me with some books that I've just downloaded. I'm totally organized. I see that time as precious time, and I enjoy traveling on my own and being on my own. Get organized and it will just be so, so worth it. So please just take this as a starter. And I personally love ChatGPT. And if you go to ChatGPT and say, I need to travel from Boston to Bali next October, give me some ideas, you'll have ideas within probably 15 seconds. It's absolutely amazing. And then he'll or she will divert you to the relevant websites as well. Just send you a little link. It's brilliant. We can share intel on the flights, and I don't want anyone to book anything until we've all agreed, yes, if we're coming from that place, this is pretty much the best deal. Because obviously we want the cheapest deal and we want the quickest flight. So let's think about the cost, which is, of course, an investment. Just work out, we did that on boot camp, and Leonie, she came up with £13,000 that she spent a year on drinking. Calculate how much you've saved on alcohol since you quit, and then look at the cost. It's nearly £2,000, and just set it against what you've saved and what you'll be investing to come to Bali. And remember, it's an investment in yourself. One of our ladies who is coming to Bali, well done, Andrea, she actually said that when she thought about booking, she did actually feel a little bit guilty spending money on herself. It's true sometimes, isn't it? Especially if we've got families and we're always paying out for the kids to do this and do that. We're not used to spending money on ourselves, but she did it. So good on you, Andrea, and I'm delighted that you're coming with us. Remember, there's a 3-part payment plan. So this is what you need to find quite quickly to secure your place, because there's still 8 places left. So you'll need to pay a deposit to secure your place. And then the next 2 payments are until the spring and then closer to October. I can send you exact dates when they're due by. And remember, it's still 10 months away, so there's plenty of time to save up. So I'm going to leave the last word to Jan, who's coming to Bali, and she is saving up. So have a listen to this.
I've been trying to save it now for over a year. In that year, I've been saving all the money I spent on Click. I've made that money in October. I'm going to Bali with 𝐶𝐿. I'm very excited. So put your money on side, save it all. You'll be amazed how much we spend on Click. and I might see you in Bali.